This is Shaina. First, just let me say that, yeah, I have glasses on right now. I used to have 20/20 vision, and now I have 20 pairs of these Dollar Tree reading glasses. They're $1 each. Wow, I can't see. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's how you're never getting old. Anyway, I'm here to talk to you about me being trafficked 20 years ago and how it relates to this book right here that I wrote 10 years ago. When I started writing it, it was during a time when I was still living in fear of the man who trafficked me finding me. He was killed in 2011. I had feared for my life, and he had tortured me by just having pictures of me out there that I didn't want. I was scared to death of getting famous, honestly. Like, that's one of the reasons I kept my identity. I didn't put my face out there till now. Honestly, I only doing it now because I have nothing to lose, and I really want to help people. And I don't care about airing my dirty laundry anymore because I'm not looking for a job or for a relationship, so I really just don't care. I mean, I care more that I might die and not have shared some of my crazy life stories to help people. First, I gotta say, this is not my autobiography or anything. Not even close. Like, the only thing really similar between me and her is the way we got into, like, if you read To My Daughter, I'm sorry if I said that I made it look like that's exactly what happened. It wasn't. Like, my story is drastically different from that, but it was similar. Like, it was kind of, the way she got in it was similar. I was a little older at the time, and there was a lot more to it than just doing cam work. There were other people involved. There's stuff I really don't want to talk about, but even if it had just been the cam, there are a lot of women going through that, a lot of men going through it. Actually, all the pronouns. Trans people really have a rough time because they're a fetish to a lot of people. There's a guy on TikTok who talks about how he was trafficked into, I think, working at a fish hatchery in Alaska when he was a teenager. Like, he would have to go there after school every day. And I've heard other stories like that. Like, when somebody says trafficking, please don't act disappointed if it's not like the movie Taken. That movie did a lot of harm and did a lot of good. People, it's almost like you say trafficking, and nobody said it to me yet, except for, well, one person in my personal life. They expect it to be this grand story of you getting sold all over the world and all that stuff. There's still traffic. There's still felonies that occur just by, like, somebody. You can just live in one house and have all this stuff happen. You don't have to travel the world. Doesn't have to be an auction and all that stuff. Someone can still be getting raped, getting blackmailed, coerced, be in a domestic violence situation. For the first time last week, when I was writing about this, and lately, and I'm sorry that I don't have Matt and Daisy. I'm really sorry about that. I'll get to that another time. What I want to say right now is, and I'm sorry, I've been dealing with mental health issues, in case that's not obvious. It makes it a little hard to write, and also I'm not sure that I'm really cut out for fiction writing, at least not right now. That was a brand new thing for me, and I mainly just published to see if anyone thought my writing was coherent. I didn't expect it to do what it did, and I wasn't ready for it, and I was triggered a lot. Like, a lot of things happened during that time that anyway, I don't want to say a whole lot because I don't want to sound like I'm blaming anyway. It's not about blame. People are so quick to throw that term around, and sometimes it's not blame, it's just explaining. Like, it's, I'm just telling you this is what happened. I'm not saying you did anything. Last week, when I was writing about this, I just had this strange thought. I'm like, wow, I'm lucky I was trafficked. And I laughed, and I'm like, wow, did I really say that? I mean, I just said it in my head, but just the fact that thought even entered my head, I was like, lucky I was trafficked. And the reason I say that is because I learned a lot from it, and because I can help people now, people who can't speak up for themselves. That's part of what brings me here. I can already tell, like, I'm not just here on YouTube. I've been in various places online, just like little feelers here and there, trying to figure out the best way to go about spreading that message because I'm very passionate about it. And unfortunately, it's one of those things where there's a lot of silent victims, people who don't want to come forward, people who, especially if it's online work, you might have someone sitting right there watching your every move, watching everything you do online, so you can't even, you can't make a phone call, you can't even help yourself. That's what's really sad about this is, I wish I could do more to help, but I'm not independently wealthy like this character I wrote. I'm not. Like I said, it was not an autobiography by any means. Some of the life experience, I wouldn't trade for anything. Before my experience in online porn, I had a completely different view of men. Like, I thought they were heartless and insensitive. There was just a lot I didn't know. And it wasn't like I was inexperienced. I didn't know how men thought. And I think most people don't. Tyler's personality, his internal monologue, all his, sensitivity that he wanted her so bad. I'm sorry, I'm also, I have a little guide here. I'm trying to stay on track because I go off topic so much. He was afraid to get his heart broken. That came directly from the guys who used to email me back then. I'm going to just read from this so I don't go off topic. I would wake up to 200 emails a day. Some were short and sweet, a lot of dick pics, of course. Please don't throw stones at me for this, women. But I would get these long emails from married men who were usually complaining about their wives. They felt stuck in their marriage. They just wanted to open up to somebody. I'm not taking up for them. There's at least two sides to every story. Sometimes 3, 4 more, depending on how many people are involved. So no, I'm not taking up for the guy. I didn't write back to him. I did get to know a few guys during that time. One of them was a real support to me when I was coming out of it. A few of them were, because they started to see what I was really going through. I think they started to realize I didn't want to be there. But they really, that was a silver lining in it for me, like dealing with those men, even opening those emails. I didn't even always open them. Sometimes I got so many that, I would just scan them to see if there were technical issues, and then I'd keep, man, I wish I still had them. It makes me so mad that I don't have that stuff anymore, because that was, it was just such a glimpse into how men think, like, because what it showed me is that men will really, they use their sex workers as counselors. So I went back and watched this video so far, and I just want to make it clear that I still don't like attention. I don't have time to interact with people. I'm sorry, that was my downfall before. I will get involved in somebody's issues. Like, people would email me and want to be emailed back. I'd have some people who would almost bully me into emailing back. How do you expect me to write if I've spent the last 3 hours emailing you? There's only so many hours in a day, and this isn't the only thing I do. I've got tons of stuff going on. Also, these videos might not get that many views right now, but that could change in the next few months, and not because I'm going to publish fiction. That always could happen, I guess, but I don't have anything immediately to publish. I do think about publishing a sequel to Safe With Me. I'll get to that later. Anyway, let me get to what I came here to say. I don't want to be known for any one thing. I'm weird. Like, this YouTube channel isn't the only thing I do. So don't be concerned for me if people aren't watching. When I first started writing Safe With Me, I put it out at Smashwords because that was the only place I could find to put out a story for free and get feedback. At the time, though, I was so in love with writing that I wanted to do it as a career. That has since changed. Right now, I don't, but that's where I was then. That was where I was like 10 or 11 years ago. Honestly, I wasn't even trying to be a sex writer. I now wish I had written something else entirely, like thriller, horror, crime fiction, something that wasn't erotic or romance. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I really didn't. I made a lot of mistakes. I didn't expect it to blow up. When I first started putting it out there, I didn't know I'd eventually have publishers after me. If I had kept Safe With Me going, it probably would have hit the New York Times. Like, I had tons of publishers after me, but I was just, I couldn't even articulate it at the time. It took me years. Even now, like even today, I'm just starting to realize some of it. But I had to go. It didn't even matter the money. It was like the only way it would have worked for me is if I had hired someone else to write the books, because my brain was fried. It still is. I don't think I can do it anymore. Maybe I can. Like I said, I might publish a sequel, but it's going to have to be because I want to, not because anyone's forcing me to. And let me explain, okay? I published because I was just trying to find out if I could write a coherent story. I was in a completely different place in my life. I was studying for the CPA exam to get a raise at work. A lot of people already know this. It's not really a secret. It's kind of a hack, I guess. But if you want to know where technology is headed online, follow the porn industry. Even Christians will tell you that. Like, everything moves faster in porn. And that's kind of the principle I was going from when I published Safe With Me. I thought, well, people are going to download this. And actually, I published other stuff too that got me feedback before Safe With Me did. But people are going to download porn before anything else. And that's, sex. like even billing or technology or how porn uses social media, if you want to find out what the rest of the internet's going to be doing in a couple months, a year, follow porn. You don't have to watch it, just follow the technical aspect of it. I've always done that. In fact, the past few months, because I've sort of changed course, just trying to reevaluate. COVID changed everything for me, and like a lot of us, I'm sure. But I just decided I'm like, I want to do something I enjoy. I just don't really know what that is. I'm sort of spread out between like 50 things right now because I'm just sort of trying to figure that out. What was I gonna say? Oh, I know. Like, I've paid for some online courses to tell me stuff I already knew, stuff I learned 20 years ago. Everybody's like, oh, it's brand new. Oh my gosh. There are things I learned online. Like, that's how fast porn moves. Like, I'm so glad I was in it. And now, I mean, I wouldn't know anything. It gave me such a great technical foundation for going on to work for myself online. Whether it's affiliate marketing, designing websites, email marketing, I learned it all doing porn. Because I threw myself into, like, even though, yes, he was pimping me out, that's the part I'm trying not to talk about. Like, it was more than just me doing the cam. But I hate to say that, because even if people are just doing cam and being coerced and blackmailed, and their husband or boyfriend or whoever won't let them out of it, that's still trafficking, and they're finally starting to realize that. Anyway, that's why I'm hesitant to tell you exactly what happened, the brutal everything. Plus, there are other people involved, and there are people I really rather just keep out of my life, if you don't mind. It was 2010. I published one part, then another. I saw all these downloads. Nobody reaching out to me, even though I said in the book, please reach out to me. Just let me know what you think of this book. That's why it drives me nuts, like people who only leave bad reviews. The reason those are hard, it's people don't know how to take your bad reviews if they don't have good ones to measure them against. You just look like you hate everything, so your opinion is worthless. If you just came here to trash everybody, you have to tell people what you like, so they'll know how to measure your bad reviews. So, but people, that's how they are. They're not going to say anything until something bad happens. So, I finally got my first reader feedback after part 4, where Tyler, it ended in a cliffhanger, where you see, I hadn't a newbie mistake I made because I was brand new, and part of the reason I'm telling people, I feel like I keep saying part of the reason, one of the reasons why I do want to help people to tell their story. There's a quote from Brene Brown, who I don't really follow, but I like her. Every time I hear something of hers, I really like it. She said, your story could be someone else's survival guide. And unfortunately, some of my stories, the ones that could really help people, are the most humiliating. They're the ones that make me look bad, the ones I don't want to have to tell my family, my friends. I don't care anymore. I just don't care. Made a lot of mistakes, done a lot of stupid things. It's finally time for me to help somebody else learn from my mistake. It's actually very healing for me. I never thought in a million years I'd say I was glad to be in porn, or that I was lucky I was trafficked. And I'm not trying to say that all readers were disrespectful. I had a lot of great readers, and some of you are still with me. I could say your names, but I don't want to leave anyone out and offend them. Anyway, some of you have been great, and that's why I hate saying this, because I'm not trying to. I'm about to sound like I'm really complaining about readers, and some of you, if I say it doesn't apply to you, I mean it. If you're still hanging with me, if you've been here all this time, if you're one of the 3 people who still watches my video, who cares what I'm doing, it's not you. I promise. So, after I got that one bit of feedback, I won't go into everything that happened, but I decided, okay, maybe at least I'm coherent. At least someone cared enough to tell me that my book ruined their life, Tyler. Oh gosh. So I decided then I probably should publish on Amazon, especially because that was right after the big Kindle boom. Believe it or not, there weren't that many people making money self-publishing before Christmas 2010. They were, but it's a long story. That's when the real self-publishing boom started, because the Kindle was the biggest Christmas gift of 2010. So I think it was January 2011 I published the first part of Safe With Me, first few parts, and I let that trickle in. Like, I didn't have the first part for free. That's a whole other process, if you're lucky enough for Amazon to bless you with that. But I had a trickle of readers. I'm going to try to read from my notes here, because oh my gosh, I get so off track. And so at the time, I had this small, steady readership that was just growing, and it was really nice. And I'm sorry if this offends anyone, but they were mostly men. And I used to get those emails from men, from guys who said they were exactly like Tyler. I got that constantly. I felt like I had finally written a romance book for men, and it was really the biggest compliment they could have paid me, because it showed me that either I learned a lot from all those guys I had interacted with all those years earlier, that I had really nailed it. Like I said, I just had a heart for them. Like, I'm so glad I got to see that side. I'm not saying all guys are like that, but I mean, the ones who used to write to me in porn were mostly. But anyway, and the ones who, and I think some of you might even still be here lurking. Hey, I miss you. When I first started publishing, it was 10 years ago. Wow. I had these guys, and they were nice, except for this one. I don't know why I feel like I need to mention him. Except this one guy who wanted me to keep writing this other erotic pen name I had, which I need to mention that. Yeah, I was writing. There was a name Samantha Whitney. That was actually my biggest selling book of all time. Anyway, he thought that story was just so much better than Safe With Me. He didn't understand why I was using my talent to write some stupid romance novel, whiny stuff. He hated it, and he was really outspoken about it. And I get that, but it's like, here's the thing: picking a genre is hard for me. Picking just one thing to do is hard for me. My creativity doesn't go in just one direction. It explodes in like 50 directions, and then I'm all over the place and nothing happens. And that's the story of my life. And I want to say this: if you're not like that, good for you. Good for you. I'm jealous because I can't change who I am. I wish I could write erotic romance. My life would be so much simpler. I wish I could just pick one direction and stick with it. But no, I'd be rich. Just any one direction. Like, I mean, book writing, this was a brand new thing for me. Like, this was just, I'm just an art. I mean, yeah, I know I was an accountant at the time, but ever since I gave my over to the creative, to the right brain, there's no going back to accounting, unfortunately. It hurts to even try to look at Excel. But my first love is actually music. I play the piano and the guitar, and I learned to play the saxophone in a half hour when I was in 7th, 8th grade. Music's what really comes to me. But then I don't want anybody saying, well, then do music, do it. I'll do what I want. Please don't tell me what to do. I just need to do it. Even if I'm broke, I hate it. I hate to have to be a starving artist, but I can't force my brain to do stuff it doesn't want to do, even for money. It's terrible. Oh, it's terrible. It's a curse. So anyway, I was slowly growing in readers, and everything was great. I mean, I was still stressed, but anyway, the readership was growing. It was all slow, and then all of a sudden, 2012, a popular book called 50 Shades of Grey came along. And it was one of those things for me, like I was mentioned as a book to read after. And I'm going to expand upon this, but the first thing I'm going to say is, you get hit by that tidal wave, it's sink or swim. And I did not swim. That tidal wave, like, I don't know if you watched that, I can't think of the name of the movie, I should have Googled it. Has Naomi Watts, it's about, and it showed how the tsunami like swept their whole family away. It was terrible, and that's how I felt. I felt like, I mean, if I had a visual of it, it just felt like the 50 Shades thing. Like, I was just there on the beach playing, and all of a sudden I got smacked into a tree and died. Like, that's how it felt for me. I'm going to try to stick to my script. And while I appreciate those of you who found me on the What to Read After 50 Shades page, I appreciate you. I appreciate it. That was the beginning of the end for me. It was bad timing. I wish I had just told the owner of the page from the very beginning not to mention me. I eventually did. Poor woman. Please know this, and this is what pisses me off. That's why it's hard to even talk about. Like, I wish I could have put a face to it years ago. I'm not trying to say I'm better than 50 Shades. That's what pisses me off at the time. Like, I have nothing but respect for 50 Shades, for E.L. James. Love her. Nothing but respect for her. I saw her interview on Wendy Williams. I love her. I think the world of her. I wish I could write books I wish I could write something like 50 Shades. I have nothing against her. Okay? Let me go back to my script. But that story is an example of why I couldn't find anything to read at the Kindle store. Like, I was trying to read a book. Like, here's what happened. Like, when I started writing, part of it was because I just couldn't find a book I wanted to read. Like, all these virginal heroines that I just can't relate to. And I didn't like the guys. Like, I wanted to see someone more like me in a book. Like, somebody I could at least relate to. That's why the character's so much like me. I mean, we're really not. I mean, there are some glaring, some commonalities, but drastic differences. She's way prettier than me for one thing. Also, I want to dissect that for people later. I mean, I know that Tyler thought she was so great, but you don't see from her perspective, and I wish I could write the other side. In fact, I started to, but it's a little triggering. She doesn't think that about herself. She's confident because she was a sex worker. That's where her confidence comes from. That's where mine came from. I think it might have just been good timing for Tyler. Like, anyway, that's neither here nor there. The point is, and if anybody has any questions for me, I doubt you do, but if you do, let me know if you have any questions about the story, because I am going to dissect it. I have my reasons. That story, 50 Shades, like I said, nothing but respect. Nothing but respect. It was the opposite of what I was trying to write. And I know it was new to a lot of you. Like, I think a lot of romance readers just came in right then. That was an issue too. A lot of people were brand new, and that's why they wanted something to read after. Like, they were hungry, so they came to me or other people. And I was probably the only other long erotic story out there. Otherwise, there are no similarities, nothing. I know it was new to you, but that whole the rich man sweeps in and saves the virginal heroine trope, that's been around for years. The biggest seller of books in the whole world is Harlequin Romance. Okay? They have a series called Harlequin Presents. That is the most popular series of books in the whole world. The most popular. And it's just like, it's like 50, I shouldn't say just like that, that's disrespectful. I don't mean it that way. What I mean is it's the same, like this is how, like if you read books on how to write romance, it's going to tell you, you'll write a perfect Harlequin Presents based on the right book. I've known authors who wrote for Harlequin Presents, and I wish I could do it. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how you come up with those plots. I cannot come up with those unrealistic. I don't watch the Hallmark Channel. I've seen those books like the Greek tycoon's missing wife, or it's always the Sicilian somebody's da 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 da. That's Harlequin Presents. That's the number one seller of books in the whole world, which is why it's not shocking to me that 50 Shades got so popular. I wasn't trying to win a popularity contest. I'm still not. That's obviously not real important to me. I mean, I'm an artist. I was just writing a story. Anyway, then again, like, I mean, I wasn't a romance reader. I never have been. Here, I'm reading my script. If I have, it's young adult, and that's not because I can't read. I've been reading on a high school level since kindergarten or earlier. I just don't enjoy reading for pleasure. I'm sorry. I bring up YA is because I just like an easy read when I do read for pleasure on the rare occasion. Like, that's very rare. I can name 2 or 3 books I read, maybe 4. So that's not even a usual occurrence for me. So why did I publish at all? Why did I write and publish? I mean, I know in hindsight, it's like, gosh, I have so many things working against me. I don't even like to read. I'm just like a cook who doesn't like to eat. Like, haven't you ever known someone, maybe they have a bakery and they're making cookies and cupcakes? They might not even eat them, but they enjoy it. There's something about it that just, they like producing it. That's me. Like, I'm not much of an intaker. I'm much more of an outputter. Like, I'm always making stuff. If it's not, it hasn't always been that way. Like I said, it's mainly been since I gave over to this creative part of me. I do all kinds of creative things. But anyway, I never said, okay, anyway, when I try to talk about this online, about this whole 50 Shades thing, it was hard. Like, I wish I could have just done a video about it, but for various reasons, like, I didn't. I had this one reader who was really pushy, and I eventually blocked her from contacting me. I remember her name. She made the assumption that I thought my book was better than 50 Shades. Like, she was talking shit about me on her page or something. Like, she thinks she's better than 50. I never said better. Who said better? It's different. That was just not the book I wanted to write. It was nothing like it. Okay? I appreciate it. I respect it. But I wasn't trying to be some big thing. I was okay with my little cult following. I was okay with that. It was great. I loved it. It was wonderful. But, telling me to write a virginal heroine and to write something like 50 Shades is like telling me to write Chinese. I can't speak Chinese. I'm sorry. None of the dialects. Sichuan, none of it. I can't speak Chinese. Okay? I can't write a regular romance. Even with a gun to my head, I couldn't write something like 50 Shades. Couldn't do it. The irony of saying I couldn't do it with a gun held to my head. I've had guns held to my head. So yeah, I know what I'm talking about. If somebody held a gun to my head and said, you got to write Harlequin Presents, you got to write this virginal heroine, shoot me. That's what I told my trafficker. Bye. See ya. Shoot me. Just shoot me. I know. I say some really morbid things, but hey, that's how I deal with it. Anyway, if you're into Harlequin Presents, 50 Shades, you're probably more well-adjusted than I am. That's a much healthier thing to read. That's normal. That's even biblical. And I'm going to write Bible studies, but not because I'm trying to preach to anybody. Believe me, I was an atheist. I know all the atheist arguments. Being a Christian makes no damn sense. But it's not something I can change. And it didn't happen to me when I was little like it did Susie in that book to my daughter. I got saved. Yes, I'm going to use that term. I got saved in 2001, the year I got out of porn. I'll go into that some other time. I'm just going to say that it doesn't... The God I experience, my Jesus, is more than just this book right here. Christian is synonymous with unloving asshole, in my opinion. That's why I know all the atheist arguments. I grew up in a something that turned me against God and against, again, my story is not that book to my daughter. I have other religious trauma that should have turned, which is why I was an atheist for a long time. Anyway, I remember the first time my book was mentioned at that 50 Shades page. I had never met that reader before. I don't think she even came over to like my page. I just know she recommended Safe With Me, and someone, I think she tagged me. That must have been how I found out. I was like, okay, thanks, and I was in the middle of writing. Like I didn't stop to look at anything. I'd never heard of 50 Shades. I didn't know it was getting popular. I was busy with my own life. This just all kind of steamrolled me. I had never heard of 50, the Twilight fan fiction it was based on. I wasn't part of that world. I wasn't trying to be part of that world. I was just a crazy woman writing a story. I wasn't trying to be anyone. I didn't do any research about the romance genre. I was just writing. And all of a sudden I had hundreds of new readers. And yes, sales went up. They did. But so did the hate. Oh, the hate. This was supposed to be like 50. Bad reviews, comments here on Facebook, emails, like droves of them, tons of them. Like they must have gathered outside of Facebook, because I saw people gather on Facebook too, but like it was just crazy. Like I'm not even a person. Like holy shit. Like how was Safe With Me supposed to be like 50? Supposed to be like a book I've never read, didn't even know about. Like shit, man. I wish I just said don't mention me there, but I don't know how I could have stopped it. I did eventually when I was on the top, because I was like number one or two or three book down, and this is after I had her take it off, because I'd have her take it off, put it back on, take it off, put it back on. I wasn't sure what to do with it, and I made a lot of sales there, but eventually I had her take it off completely, because I would rather just let the sales die out, honestly. I know that sounds terrible, and I'm sorry if you're mad at me for saying that, but it's been long enough that I think I've proven that what I said is true. Like maybe I think, was it Amazon? I saw somebody one day ask what happened to Shaina Richmond. Did she ever write again? And someone wrote something must have happened. Well, here's what happened. It was not just a few readers. Like anytime I tried to mention it on Facebook, people would, write for you, concentrate on the good ones. It's like, you have no idea what I'm going through. Oh gosh. And suddenly, the male readers I used to have who would interact, like I'm just like Tyler, blah blah blah, they were chased away. They were gone. They left. I just felt like all these women, and I'm sorry, I'm not talking about you if you're watching it, just put a net around me and was like, we own you now, telling me, not to write Susie, telling me how to write it. And like I said, it wasn't just one or two people. I'm not even sure if it was 100 or 200. It was 1,000 or two, maybe. Like it was terrible, and it was supposed to be people who liked me. That's the weird thing. It's supposed to, like that, it was just odd. Ew. And then one day I made the mistake of announcing that I didn't want to write erotica anymore. And that was actually a personal decision, something between me and my ex-husband. But anyway, I didn't mean Safe With Me. To me, and this was my mistake, I shouldn't say you, the people at the 50 Shades page, and most women, when I said erotica, they thought I meant Safe With Me. I considered that to be erotic romance. Erotica was something like these short little erotic books I used to write, like the one I mentioned before, Samantha Whitney. I meant that's what I didn't want to write, because that pen name had its fans too, and they would come to me, especially men. In fact, that was my biggest selling book ever, and I've had success under several names, which is, I know I'm not writing anything right now. It's just the characters can find no purchase in my stressed out brain. Like the characters hide from me. Like I don't know how to describe it. It's like trying to pour out an empty water pitcher. Like there's just nothing in it. Like how I got nothing to pour out. Like, so when I said I didn't want to write erotica anymore, a very well-meaning, sweet reader went to the 50 Shades what to read after 50 Shades Facebook page and said, "Go tell Shaina Richmond to keep writing erotica. She's so good at it." And I appreciate that. Okay, I appreciate that, because 50% of the people on that page wanted me to die in a fire because I ruined their life with this horrible anti-heroine. Okay, so I appreciate the fact that you cared enough to come to my Facebook page and say, "Please keep writing sex." I appreciate that. I know you meant well. Honestly, that was one of the worst and most stressful experiences of my life. And I'm counting being trafficked, because it triggered me. Going on about that in a second. Gosh, it was hard. I would have spoken up more. I feel kind of bad waiting so long, because honestly, I didn't even know how to articulate what was going on. I didn't realize what was happening, but I started having PTSD flashbacks of a gun being held to my head. A very specific memory. I was afraid to say anything about it because it was just an odd situation. I was just angry online. I started getting drunk all the time, and that was new for me. I usually self-medicate with something else, but which I wasn't doing then. Alcohol is not usually something I enjoy. Like, that's, and just so you know, if you ever go to drug rehab, like when I say self-medicate, like anyone in drug rehab, they usually put you, if it's a psychiatric hospital, which a lot of times it is, they put you in something called a dual diagnosis unit. That means you have two diagnoses: your drug addiction or drug dependence or whatever it is, and your mental illness. So they go hand in hand. And I see a lot of people who don't seem to know that online. But anyway, when I say self-medicate, like anytime I have done that, long periods of time, or which I'm not currently, or drink, it's because there's something else going on. I know it probably seems like writing sex and having sex are two different things, but they evoke the same emotion. Like when a character goes through something, I go through it. Like, and especially when it came to money, because I was making money, like, and these women knew it. They could tell that from the amount of sales I probably made from that Facebook page. But that made it even worse. That's why I started feeling like I was being trafficked, because it's like, oh gosh, so I get to have sex for money again, even though it's, and then they're trying to steer the ship on me, like, this is what you write now. You let's take the pieces to say with me we liked, and because we're paying you now, you're going to write this way. You were doing this before, Shaina Richmond. Now you're doing this. That's how it felt. And here, I was, like I said, I wasn't even trying to get popular. Oh, it was terrible. It was just terrible. And if you're ever confronted with a similar situation, don't do that. Please don't ever tell anyone to write sex if they don't want to. No means no. #MeToo. And important to note, like I said, because a lot of times people hear something, they're like, oh, it's your fault for not speaking up. Story of my life. Because I don't usually know to speak up. Like, TikTok, oh my gosh, it's crazy. It'll show you a lot about yourself if you're on there for a few months. All of a sudden, they'll send stuff your way that's like, how did TikTok know who I was? Chinese spyware, that's why. Sometimes labels can be good or bad, okay? Sometimes they're good, like, sometimes they just help you identify the problem. And something I've learned, TikTok is hyper independence. I really just don't know to ask for help. Like, I'll be stuck in a ditch and not even realize I was supposed to say, help me. Like, I'll just stay there and die. That's one of the reasons I'm in the situation I'm in now, like, where I'm just like starting over again at 45 years old. Because anyway, I've got to finally figure out what I want to do. Okay? And all I really want to do right now is help people. I want to prevent people from making my mistakes. And if that means humiliating myself, that's what it means. But when I ran off, like when all this started happening, like, there's a part that's safe with me, like after when Susie's aunt and brother show up after she gets out of jail, and she just panics and runs off. And like, I remember I just wrote it the way I would have experienced it, like, because she was a lot like me in that way, and a lot of people didn't understand it, like how she just kept running. She has what I believe I have too. It's called dismissive avoidant attachment. Anyway, she didn't even have any thought going through her head. It just, I remember, I think, and I haven't read it lately, but it said, I think I wrote something like pain. That's all. It just hit her in the stomach, and she just ran off and didn't even know why. That's exactly how I experience my pain. That's why it's taken me this long to sort of realize it. There's even every day I realize stuff that happened to me in the past. Like, it just takes me a while to process it. All I know is it's painful, and I'm not even one who sits around and thinks about it. Like, I won't have a thought in my head. It's like I push it down. Like, I'll get migraines, I get sick at my stomach, vomiting, all kinds of stuff, but I won't think about it. Like, I'm not obsessive. I don't. Anyway, maybe you can relate. Other things that happened during that time that triggered me was this. And I'm not trying to beat up on anyone. I'm just trying to shed light, and I'm just trying to shed light. My Facebook timeline would constantly fill up with porn or close to it. I think a lot of women, like, they were new to all this thing, you know, they felt, you know, just feeling themselves. They felt sexually liberated with 50 Shades, and it was sort of this mob mentality of women sharing pictures. Some of them even were just book covers. But then I'd see the same people get mad because they were in Facebook jail. And I never reported anyone for it or sent anyone to Facebook jail, but I can see why it happened. And, I mean, do you think men should get away with that stuff? There's a double standard for sure. You'd get mad at men for posting naked women, but no, you know, naked men, sorry, it doesn't work that way. It's like a few years ago when women were, like, crazy mad about... Well, they loved Adam Levine at the Super Bowl halftime, but the next year it was Jennifer Lopez and Shakira being all sexy. No. Anyway, I realized a lot of women were just experiencing this for the first time. They felt free. It was all brand new, but it wasn't new to me. It was so old. I was already in porn. I wasn't like, oh gosh, I was so over all this. It all looked like all that stuff, like, looked just really brash and silly to me. Like, I think they were just caught up in the moment. That's the kind of stuff it should have stayed in, like, private Facebook groups, if that's what you wanted to do. I mean, it sort of reminded me of, like, the guys that would send me dick pics when I was in doing the cam. Like, they weren't common. I was the first person I knew who ever got a dick pic. They weren't that common. But, you know, you learn to deal with them when it comes with the territory. But, like, it sort of felt like the men who approached me were so much more respectful. So much more respectful. In fact, I had posted a couple TikTok compilation videos on my YouTube channel. One of them was a guy telling a story about a bunch of women, about how it was to be a bouncer at a strip club and deal with those types of women. The women who come in acting all brash, think they can touch the dancers and stuff. That's what it felt like. Because I kept thinking, man, you guys will get kicked out of a strip club for this. Like, it was just that new, like, don't know any better. Have some respect. You know what I mean? You can't just go acting a fool anywhere you want to. Like, have some respect. That's all I'm saying. And this video is going to be way longer than I expected. I don't know if anybody will be interested in another part of it, but I'm going to put some out anyway because I may have people come in eventually. And I hope you are interested. But I don't blame you if you're not. I get it. Okay, here's what I'm going to end this with and where I was really going with the whole thing. Women calling each other whore and slut, you know, like it's a badge of honor, but I wrote a character who was a whore and a slut, and oh no, I ruined your life. It was supposed to be like 50 Shades. It reminded me of, it was either 2013 or 14. I was in a wedding, and I had to go to David's Bridal and try on a bridesmaid dress. Anyway, when I was there, I had to take pictures to send to the bride of what I looked like. Well, there was David's Bridal. There's always other people there, and these other women, you know, they're having fun, you know. And I was taking pictures, and they saw me, and they were like, "Oh, you look so good. You could be a stripper." Blah blah blah. You know what I said? I don't know what possessed me, because I usually kept it to myself, but I just looked at it and said, "Thank you. I was a stripper." Oh. They didn't talk to me again. The anti-heroine has arrived. The bad girl. Oh no. But I ended Safe With Me earlier than I expected. It still probably would have ended the same place everybody got mad at me for. But I just didn't think you could handle what happened afterward. You know how, and there were scenes, and please don't ask me to publish any deleted scenes. It would take me a month of unpaid work to even get them ready to put online. But there were scenes I almost maybe partially wrote or wanted to write, but it was like, no, they're not going to want this. Like, especially at the end of part 7, when they broke up. Yeah, here we go. The end of part 7, where everybody's like, didn't understand why she kicked him out of her house. And he says, I guess maybe I expected the escort thing with your trip in the fancy hotel and stuff, but the rest of it, I stared at the DVDs. I didn't see that coming at all. I mean, shit, you went to church with my mom. And she drops her hands and stared at me and her mouth gaping. So what if I went to church with your mom? Don't you think that's weird? What? Her tears stopped. That I do porn and I went to church? Well, yeah. She gave me a strange, thoughtful look. Her tone was biting. Get out. Get the fuck out of my house. That's how I felt about it. That's how I still feel about it. I don't understand the whole virginal heroine. I don't understand it. Like, it's so, I mean, in a way, it's very Christian-like. It's supposed to, but you see, I guess I'm lucky. I grew up in a weird church, but I didn't get preached that purity culture that, you know, only good girls, you know, deserve the guy. Like, I was such a bad girl. It's like, even though I feel myself there by accident, those are still my people. Those are my friends. It's like if I had been falsely imprisoned somewhere, like, and then, you know, later I come out and I'm telling a story about all my prisoner friends, and you're like, oh, it wasn't your fault. You shouldn't have been there. It's like, well, I still learned. I still have friends there. I still was a prisoner, whether it was my fault or not. I was still there. I still had the experience. Like, there's a part, like, when she leaves Tyler, when she does run off, I don't show this, but she almost kills herself. She almost jumps off a bridge. Like I said, I don't have the scene completely written, so please don't ask for it. She almost jumps off the bridge to die, like where her mom did, but it's really not that. The Neuse River isn't that deep. It's a long story, but there's a whole lot that happened there. But like, I got a lot of people who didn't quite understand why Susie went back to stripping at the end, and I'm sorry. That's my fault. That's my fault. I was just trying to end the book there. I left some things out that I didn't think people would appreciate, and I really didn't think about it till now. Honestly, I didn't think about it till yesterday. I'm like, huh. I mean, to me, it was just subconscious, but when she goes back to stripping, it's not because she feels bad. But what it was is she just feels more comfortable around sex workers because they understand her, and I get that. Because you know what? Okay, even though, like, I might have been falsely imprisoned, you know, I was falsely... I was trafficked into it. I have known so many sex workers since then. I've known escorts. I've known just strippers, other cam girls. One of my best friends who actually passed away in the last year was a really high-paid escort, and she and I were like that. Like, because you know what? Almost every person I've ever known who got into it, male or female, it's not a pretty story of how they got into it. They might have been trafficked into it. It's usually somebody did coerce them, and then it just sort of became the norm. Because what happens, especially when it comes to this cam thing or a lot of stuff, because these days, even if you're just like on Backpage as a call girl, you might still have your online presence. A lot of stuff going on. But anyway, I still know the industry. I know what's happening out there, and it can be really hard to get out of online porn or anything even attached to it. And when it starts there, it can often branch out, like it did me. Like, anyway, it's hard to get out of because your pictures are out there and you just think, well, I'm fucked anyway, so I might as well keep doing it. You think you have, you know, your reputation's ruined, and next thing you know, you're, you know, depressed and drinking, doing drugs because you just hate yourself for it. It's something you can't get out of. And or maybe you do have friends and family who turn against you, especially family. It's terrible. But I just refuse to vilify sex workers. The words slut and whore, they're not dirty words to me. I brought it up in a Bible study one time that I called myself a slut. And somebody said, why are you insulting yourself that way? And I'm like, I didn't know it was an insult. You know what? I think a lot of us, because if we grew up watching the Golden Girls, Blanche Devereaux, I grew up thinking being a slut was cool, to be honest with you. And I think Blanche had a lot to do with that. I know, it's funny, like, being a young kid and idolizing these older women, but man, that was a good show. Anyway, I just refuse to... My sex worker friends, my horror friends, are nice. They're more respectful. They're respectful to me. They're respectful to other women. They're not the ones who are going to go into the strip club and try to stick their fingers in people. They know better. That's why, I mean, like, people who don't... It's funny, like, there's this dichotomy. It's like, you know, oh, I'm going to glorify the whore, but if you actually are, you don't deserve anything. Just go to hell. Just go to hell and die. I don't believe that, and the Bible doesn't say it. Like, there's prostitution all through the Bible. One of the things that, I mean, it's really sad to me that this cancel culture, this, you know, one sin and you're toast. We've all done something, okay? And I'm sorry if this sounds preachy, but the Bible says for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory. It says, for he who is without sin cast the first stone. There's something, the parable of the two sons, where Jesus tells the chief priest, it'll be easier for tax collectors and prostitutes to get into the kingdom of heaven before non-believers. Like, really, the love of Jesus, the love that we're supposed to be spreading through this book right here, okay, this, through the Holy Spirit, all this, the Christian shouldn't mean unloving jackass, asshole, going around, hitting people with Bibles, John 3:16. It's not supposed to be that. It's supposed to be that you are loved. Like, whatever you did, your sins, the Bible says, as far as the east is from the west, your sins have been removed from you. That's what saved me. I'll go about that some other time, but like I said, I don't believe in the normal way. Like, I believe in a very much more spiritual way, and that we're supposed to love people. And I haven't always felt that way. Like, when I first became a Christian, because it was sort of a big shift in my life, happened in one day, because I really was atheist. I had to have a big spiritual experience. Like, I experienced God in a very supernatural way. And for a while there, I kind of did that too. Like, I don't know what it is about being a Christian. You think you're loving people with all your judgment, but you're not. And if the only people who deserve love, who deserve acceptance, who deserve unconditional love, are the ones who have never sinned and never done anything wrong, we're all going to hell. Like, give it a year, there's going to be 3 people left that haven't been canceled. Like, it's like, we all, look, I'm not saying forgiving someone means taking them back into your life. You can forgive a loan, like a debt, and not add to it. You can just say, oh, you don't have to pay me back, but I'm not going to give you any more debt. Forgiveness is for you. You can still set a boundary. I've forgiven all kinds of people that I never want to see again. Okay? The forgiveness is for you. Anyway, I just want to, that's the judgment. Like, that's the whole, like, you went to church with my mom, but you do porn. Yeah. Absolutely. That's and I'm not going to argue with anyone about it. The point of all that was just I just felt like I was supposed to share that. I'm not sure who for exactly. I feel like there's not really anybody who cares who knew me from 10 years ago, but maybe it's for somebody new coming in. And if you have any questions, just leave a comment on Facebook, or I can't say I will check my email. I would say email me, but I don't have time to really talk to a lot of people. But if you want to leave me a question, like you really have a valid question about religion or about the book, or about whatever, about trafficking, I'll figure something out where to tell you to contact me. Because maybe you don't want to leave a public comment on Facebook. Anyway, just follow me. I'll figure something out. Anyway, this has been Shaina Richmond. Hope you have a great day. Sorry for all this. Bye.